Okay. So I'll try my best. Here we go. There's a mitzvah called Ma'aseh and a mitzvah called Ma'aseh Yedayni. And we'll see about that. Then we'll see about the next mitzvah if we get to it. Mitzvah Shem. Say, please. But mitzvah shminis. Ish is hanu me'asois ha'oiv. Ma'asois ha'oiv. Or mima'aseh ha'oiv. Mima'aseh ha'oiv. Mima'aseh ha'oiv. Ma'asois ha'oiv. Ma'aseh ha'oiv. V'hu sheyakti b'kteres yedua. V'hu sheyakti b'kteres yedua. So even before we start, we have no clue what this Ma'aseh is. He's telling you what the process is, okay? And the first thing that he says in terms of the process is a priori, a red flag. Because if you're makdir, and he says later, v'zo or v'zeh min mimini avodah zarah, so there's avodah zarah involved here, and it says v'hu shiakti k'teres yedua. So if you're makdir and it's an avodah zarah, you should have been under the general category of avodah zarah, the chiyuv of dalet avodas, even before you started anything. The Ma'aseh he's chayiv right before he started. Ushiaktim b'teres yedua. So there is a Gemara about this, and that the Gemara talks about in the process of the Ma'aseh, talks about being mekater l'shade, that he somehow does some haktorah to a shade. And the Gemara goes back and forth about this. The Gemara, should it be chayiv mishum avodah zarah? The Gemara deals with this question. And let's read the Gemara, then I'll tell you what probably is the explanation of what's going on. The Gemara is in Hedron, Samachem and Aleph. I hochi yotze megadef ubal oiv miboile ela oma ula b'mekate l'shade. So therefore, since you did a Ma'aseh, so even though megadef is potter, but bal oiv is chayiv, is mekate l'shade. Correct. The Gemara, Omalei Rovo, Makata the shade. If you're Makata to a shade, as we know before that a shade is the Avodah Zarah, if you oived it. So the Gemara says, Omalei Rovo, Makata the shade. Oived Avodah Zarah. Over Avodah Zarah. Elo Omar Rovo. B'mekate l'chaber. So there seems to be an important issue of what you have in mind when you do this haktorah. If you do the haktorah for avodah, whatever that means, mekate l'shed stam, then l'choy yechayiv mishum avodah zarah. But if you makata l'chaber, it's a different story. So Mr. Zalman in Eben Ozel in Hilchos Yesodei HaTorah Perek Hey Halacha Aleph explains that the Makata l'Shade is there's a certain you do the avodah with a machshava that the avodah zara has a certain bias. But if you just want, it's a very, you have to know exactly what the difference. If or you just want a favor from the avodah zara, about kosher's teva, but there's no bias, whatever that means, that's called mechata l'chom. So whatever it is, we have to understand over here. But it is an avodah zara. Ram says zemin min avodah zara, and you're just asking him to the shade to help you in this process of the Maisa Eiv. So that's not a chiyuv avodah zara. Okay. So we still have not clue of what Maisa Eiv is and what he's trying to do. But all we've just tried to understand is why he's not chayef of the Zohar before he gets started. So you get the impression, I don't know what it means, that it's not stam teres, but it's a special type of teres that they had in this Maisa Eiv. B'teres Yadua. And then he goes on and on. V'yaseh pu'ulos miuchados. Do after you do this keteres, there are very special actions which he's supposed to do. And the Rambam Pirush Mishnayos in Sanhedrin, Perek Zayin Mishnah Zayin, Ubal Oiv Ha'omo B'mikre Naaseh B'asiyas Ma'asim. So it's very clear that he's doing something. So there's a Keteris Yadua, and there's Pulos Miuchados. And what he calls B'asiyas Ma'asim in Pirush Mishnayos, and Hilchos Avodah Zara, Perek Zayin Halacha Aleph, Ketzad, Hu Ma'aseh Oiv, Zeshu Oimed Umakti Keteris Yadua. It's also again a Keteris Yadua, separate type of Keteris. But here the Masim, he says what he's doing. He holds a rod, shall hodos, biyodoi minifa, he waves it. So there are clear actions here. And the Rambam has two types of Maisa Eiv, as you get the impression the Gemara says, "V'chein alokeach b'golis meis, hameis umaktir lo, umenachesh bo, ad sheyishma kiluko." So again, he's doing something. He's very proactive in the Maisa Eiv. So it's a very odd thing, because the Gemara tackles the question of what's the Maisa in the Baal Eiv. The Gemara Krisis on Daf Gimel Amud Beis, Baal Eiv, my Maisa is Bey. So the Gemara says, Hakoshas Zroyoisov. Somehow he's banging his arms together or something like that. Hakoshas Zroyoisov. And it was my mice is bay, akoshes zroyois of habi mice. And the Gemara doesn't mention this whole thing. So what you have to say is, according to the Rambam, that after Rava was Mekadesh, that the Mekate b'sheid, if he's Mekate l'chaber, there's no need to say that there's Hakoshes Zroyesov in the Maisa'oi, and the Rambam doesn't have it. And it could be that Hakoshes Zroyesov is not a Meister Mechayev Chatos, but you need Aktos Kteris and the like, a real bona fide Meister. And the Ram concludes that since the Doa Poshet, that the Yechayev Chatos here in Meiser, it's as the Gemara said, it's you require Aktos Kteris. So there's a lot going on here. We'll have to see more. You know, we don't know anything yet. I'm just trying to read the words. Okay. Then there's a very important phrase. After this whole thing, he does some type of act with Aktoris Kteris Yadua, and he does certain pulos miuchadis, whether it's maybe the Rambam here also, that he takes a hodaf, is waving it, whatever. Then it says, V'izdam Eloi shmiois dibo mitachas shichyoi. So we'll have to see about this. First of all, V'izdame is a dimion. There may not be any real voice, real talking here. V'izdam Eloi. Okay. Now, the most important question, who is the Loi? So, l'chera, from a grammatic construction, an indefinite pronoun reference, you'd want it to be referred back to someone who's mentioned already. So, if you're ready to do that, the assumption is the maktik teres, after he does all this pu'ulais, he has some type of an experience, delusion, or some type of he hears voices. And that the voice is coming from his armpit. Yoshiv will answer Alma Shishal Mimen. In Kapach, Rushi Mekate Kuteris Yidor, Freise Meise Misyomim, basically the same. V'nid Meloi, it's also V'nid Meloi, it's only it appears to him, he imagines it, Shehu Shemei Dibo Mitachas Shichyoi. So I guess the Shichyoi and the Dibo, the person She'oine Lama Sheyisha Olov, which will answer that which he asked him. So I guess someone's asking a question, and the Baal Oiv is going into some type of supernatural, I don't know what some type of action over here, which will end up having to him the delusion or the illusion of hearing a voice to answer the question the person asked. So it's very clear over here, there is a voice appears to come out from under his armpit. So let's start slowly. The Gemara in Sanhedrin and Samachem with Beis, Tono Abonon, Baloiv, Echor HaMaile, B'Zchui, V'Echor HaNishal B'Gulgoyles. So l'cheira, there are two explanations of the Baloiv. Okay. So a priori, the Ram is not talking, there's no mention of Gulgoyles over here. So the Ram is talking about the first shot. So if in the case of Gulgoyles, we have no idea of where the voice is coming from, but in the first case, it's clear that the voice is coming from his armpits. The Ram Mishneh Torah only mentions the issue of the armpits only in the second shot in the case of Gulgoyles, which is very interesting. Not sure exactly how this happens or what's going on, but I'm just telling you the facts. The Cain in Perek Vav Aloch Aleph, V'chein Elokech Gulgoyles Hameis, he takes a skull, Umaktir lo, Umenachesh bo, Ad Sheyishma Ki'ilu Kol Yoytze Mitach HaShichyoy, Shofo Ad Mi'oid Umeshiva. So again, it's a Ki'ilu. But whatever it is, the different shot when the Shichyo applies and when it doesn't apply, the Mishnah in Sanhedrin on Samachem and Aleph says Bal Oib Ze Pisoim Hamadabe Mishichyo. So the Mishnah also clearly says Shichyo. The Tosefta seems to say it's Labdaf Shichyo. It's a Tosefta Sanhedrin, Perek Yud Aloch Vav, and also in Sanhedrin, the Brisa quotes it, Samachem Beis. L'cher it's Labdaf Shichyo. Tono Abona Baloib Ze Hamadabe Ben Aprokim between the joints. Umi Ben Atzili Yodov. But the Ram doesn't quote the Tosefta, and the Ram paskins that the Tosefta and the Mishnah are disagreeing, and he paskins like the Mishnah. It's Shichya. As I pointed out before, it's not clear at all, whether Shichya applies to all Pshatim or not, and I would assume from the Mishnah that it does apply, because it says in the Mishnah that it's that the Baloiv Ze Pisa Madaba B'Shichya. We pointed out that over here the Ram doesn't mention two pshatim, but he's talking about Shichma that only in the second shot, the Gulgoyles, that it comes out of Shichya. We don't understand the Mishneh Torah how he leaves out Shichya in the first shot. Okay, Beseder. Now, the question is, it's clear also that this is the voice is a dimyan, or as the Ram says in Mishneh Torah, ki'ilu kol yoytze mitach hashichyot, shof ad me'odim meshiva. but it's coming from the person, okay? The Ravid says that the coal comes not from the shichyoi of the magician over here, or whoever he is, but it comes from the mace. The Ravid Nasogis, the Ramasel Ketza Maisoib, Zeshu Oimed, Umaktir, Kloima, Oimed Umaktir, Om Avrom, Bebeis Akvorois Oisekain, Ubior Shel Odom Mace, Umedabir Mishichye Shel Mace. The truth is, in Mishnah Torah, it's clear that the voice is coming from the Chai. But the in Pirush Mishnayis, there also might be some support for something like the Ravid. The Ram Pirush Mishnayis in the Pirush Mishnah Sanhedrin, Perek Zayin Mishnah Zayin Baloi B'chulei V'yesh Bo Menache V'hu Sheloichin Gugoles Reish Odom V'shoimim Mimeno Dvorim Kederch Sheshoimin Ameis V'maise Bal Oib. So the Rambam in Pirush Mishnayis, at least in the second shot, where there's a Gulgolis involved, the mace is the voice is coming from the mace. There is an interesting twist on this. The Rid in Sanhedrin and Piskei Rid is of the opinion the coal comes from the mace, but it comes out from the armpit of the live person. Baal oiv ze pisoy mamadaber mishichyoy pirish male es hames aydei shofim mishichyoy shel machashev tachas royoisov umedaber bishom. The mess is coming and speaking. It's the mess, but it's speaking from Meshichya. Okay, Beseda. I'm not sure how important any of this, but I'm just telling you, anything you want to talk about here, there's a machlokes about. Now, here, v'zeh min avodah zarah. So what l'cheir is happening over here is this some type of way of telling the future? We find in Tanakh that Shaul, when the Umatum was not helpful, he also turned to the Oiv of Yedeni, to find out what fate has in store for him. Okay. The Ram clearly says this zemin echod mimini avodah zarah, and the word avodah zarah is in all Cambridge and Kapach, in Eben Tibin, it says Miminov, but it means avodah zarah. It's just not mentioned explicitly. Here, before we get involved in understanding or trying to understand anything, the Rambam is clearly trying to present to us that this is avodah zarah. We have no clue of how it's avodah zarah. But before we deal with that, the Talmud clearly claims that this is kishuv. both oiv and yidoni. The Gemara brachos chafal mun beis el oiv v'yidoni b'chlal kol hamachashvim hoyu. Basically, the same way you should be chayiv misa for macha is basically oiv in yidoni are kishuv. V'loma yatzu lakish lehen. V'loim lecho. Ma oiv yidoni b'skila af mechashefa b'skila. So which oinish does mechashefa get? It gets skila like oiv yidoni. But the clarity over here is that oiv yidoni are mechashvim. But different type of mechashvim. And the source of it's also not only, it's not one Gemara. It's a Gemara Brachos Chafal from base, a Gemara in Yibam is Dalam and Aleph, and a Gemara in Hedges Samach Yishmael, and Mishpatim, Mesech Nezikin, Perek Yud Zayin, Mechashef Lo Yischayim, V'chule. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira Oimer, Hari Oimer, Ish o Isha Kiye Bohem Oiv, V'yid'oni, v'aloi oiv v'yid'oni, v'chlal mechashvim hoyu, v'lo meyotzu lahakish aleihem. V'loi melecho, ma elu b'skila, af mechashvim b'skila. Oy l'shamano as ho minayin, ta'amaloim or whatever. So, the question is, the Rambam, what's the scoop? The Gemara says mufurish, and the Mechilta, that it's Kishuv, and Ramban and Chumish, all over the place. In Dvorim, Perek Yud Ches, Posik Tes, the Hiskim Mechashev, Shem Klau, L'chol HaKshofim, V'chloi V'chovir, V'shoyel Oy V'yid'oni, Hein Prote V'Kishuv. V'osa Oisom Gam L'shoyel. So Gam the Shoyel, but the etzim thing is certainly awesome. But there is Shalom Esim, so Eva Atzmoi, Ubechol Inyan Shiur Shalem. Ramban and Dvom Yud Zayin Beis, he's talking about Kishuv. V'chein Hiske B'Oiv Yidoni, O Isha, in Vayikol Chof. Pasuk Chav Zayin. Why? L'gilus hanoshim bohem. Because women are involved in kishuv. At least that's the way it was in that civilization, or that's what it was thought of. But the Ram again and again, he clearly says that this is avodah zarah. And we have other issues. Even if you accept the Rambam's thesis that Oiv and Yid'oni are min avodah zarah, what avodah zarah is going on over here? Because Mekata l'shade, he only wants to he wants to enlist the shade to help him. But it's not an avodah that he sees that a shade is the chabaylim over here. Whatever that means. So what's avodah zarah over here? It happens to be the shade of avodah zarah. But there's no avodah over here. And even if you assume that ben noach asurim and moilech, because moilech is a ma'aseh avodah zarah, but here there's no ma'aseh avodah zarah. So l'cheira, there's no nafkamin in ben noach either. The emes is the chinuch. Mikol kaim eno b'chol avodah zarah b'nei noach. Vadai eno mitzuva li don the pashas kishu eno muza b'nei noach. Then he says the efshe di noima the yesh mitzara avodah zarah emes lo gom b'Israel the avodah zarah yog v'ayavo v'chulei chesed. So that is not no proof to us because he explains the chinuch that it is a tzad avodah zarah, but the Ram says that it's avodah zarah. And then another question you can ask over here. The Ram holds, as we mentioned last week, that moilech is avodah zarah. And there's a ma'aseh avodah zarah. But in ma'aseh oiv v'yidoni, we don't know that there's a ma'aseh avodah zarah b'chlal. So this is where we're standing. It sounds, mamish, like an amazing thing. And the Ram goes out of his way. It's not stam. He goes out of his way both in Ov and Yidoni. He says the Yidoni also. Min vuhu gam kein min mimini avodah zarah. And I assume that the Ram was so bought into this so much that that's why he put Ov Yidoni over here. It's the avodah zarah. But the Gemara and the Mechilta, and it's Kishuv, Ben Noach are not chayiv on it. So Ben Noach is a chayiv on it. So what does it mean that it's avodah zarah? So I want to read something to you now, Ramban, and maybe we can extrapolate with this. Something will help us. But a priori, whatever it is, I think the kashas are real questions. So comes the Ramban, in Vayikra Yutes Posek Dal. The Omar al Tifnu El Ho Elilim. Yoima Shelo Yifne Liboy B'chulei Shelo Yifne Liboy Be'elilim. And this is the important thing. Laha'amin sheyiyeh bohem to'elis. You're not allowed to believe that there's a to'elis in this avodah zarah. Oh, and here is important. Sheyovo ho asidus asher yisnabu mehem. That any misnabe b'shem avodah zarah, and he says over a shtickle b'shem that there's some nevuah, some prophecy in the name of avodah zarah, you shouldn't believe in its authenticity. Avoyiyu heim v'chol ma'aseim efes v'sohu be'enov. V'leisavu asides rak b'gzeris elyon. Everything comes from God. So, l'cheira, I could have imagined that if you take the Ramban's logic, that the assumption over here is that the asidos come through the avodah zarah. It's not an avodah, but it's a sug misnabe b'shem avodah zarah, but here he's not misnabe, he's trying to extract the asidos from the shade. Even though the way you extract it is through kishuv. You're using kishuv to extract from an avodah zarah the asidos. This, I think, is a basis to begin to think about something. But the question is, what makes shadim per se avodah zarah, or shadim avodah zarah only as much you oived over here? Is there any avodah of the shadim? No. The shadim, the avodah zarah, is the basis of the asidus over here. That ki'ilu, the assumption is that the avodah zarah has powers to tell the future. And the whole Maisa over here, at least the way I'm scanning it, is to extract from the avodah zarah the future. But there's no Maisa avodah. You're doing it derech kishuv. So what the chiyuv over here is the Ram says the chiyuv is avodah zarah, because you look at the avodah zarah as the source of the knowledge of the future. And there's an element of avodah zarah even without saying Eliata. See, this is the problem over here which you have to deal with. But I think that this is the basis of beginning to think about it, that the whole Oiv Yeduni is based on the assumption that the avodah zarah has powers, and this is, in a way, it's not a Maisa avodah, it's a methodology to extract that knowledge which the avodah zarah has. The question is, even if you accept this, should you assume that a Ben Noach is muzir on Oiv Yedoni? That since the Ram says in Periktes, the Enei Isa Avodah Zarah that applies to Yisrael, applies to Ben Noach, and the Ram's canning the whole Maisa Oiv as somehow, maybe in a certain way, we look at it as deifying the Avodah Zarah, as having the power and understanding of the future. So maybe Ben Noach Chayim for it. And even if you tell me that they're also, the question is, since Israel Chayiv Misa, because the Ram says in Perik Tes Halacha Beis Ruchos Malachim that any case that a Yisrael is Chayiv Misa on Avodah Zarah, the Ben Noach is also Chayiv. Are you prepared to say that a Ben Noach is Chayiv Misa for the Maisa Oiv? That is a little difficult. I imagine it's also. That is what I have to say over here. But the Rambam L'chayr, I think, in the presentation, the organization of Sefer HaMitzvos, and quoting this, and again, that it's a min avodah zarah, that the that the basis of the Isa Oiv is something with the Ramban, but a different approach over here. What the Ramban talks about, Atifna Lilim, but it's there's a certain deification of the Shadim. It's not the Maisach Torah because he's just trying to extract information, but the underlying assumption that the that the Shadim have a window into the future, and they have supernatural powers. That's something like a deification. We have to understand: is that the Etzem Isa? That's what's going on here. That's where Achiyodi Magas at the moment, in terms of trying to understand the basic issues of what's happening. V'amor yis'aleh al tifnoi el ha'oivos. This posik, l'cheira, the Tesis also in Sanhedrin quotes as the lav from Baal Oiv, Baal Oiv, al tifnu el oivos. Tesis Sanhedrin, Samachem and Aleph, the Maslanishim lehen, he quotes Rashi, al tifnu el oivos, is the Azhora, leBaal Oiv Yidoni. Baal Oiv ze pisam medab mishichya v'Yidoni machnis etzem chaya shom v'chule. Rashi says that the Baal Oiv, but the Baal Oiv is lo yimotze, and al tifnu is for the shoyo. Rashi and Hedrin. Al tifnu lo oivos, vasho the mechashos gufon lo yimotze, because they're the mechashvos and they're lo yimotze. V'choivach shoyo oiv yidoni is something. So Rashi in Chumash and Tesis and Hedrin are that the lav is al tifnu lo'ivos. Rashi in Chumash, Rashi and Hedrin, Tesis and Hedrin, and Rashi in Chumash, Rashi and Hedrin is mashmitz the opposite. That al tifnu is for the shoyel, and lo yimotz b'cho is the lav for the Baal Oiv. Okay, say the what the Azhora, it will be important for something later. Not later, it'll be today at the end of depending upon the gifts and the Gemara Eruvin at the end of Mitzvah. Okay, let's keep this in mind, believe it. Okay, next. Here, here's something just interesting. I found this amazing, and you might not have noticed it. It says over here, Voloshin Sifra, Oiv ze pisoim hamadabe b'shichya. So I found this amazing because this Loshin, Oiv ze pisoim hamadabe b'shichya, is a Mishnah in Sanhedrin. Perek Zayin, Mishnah Zayin. So I said to myself, why in the world? If there's the Mishnah, why should the Ram quote it from the Mishnah? If he quoted from the Sefer, not the Mishnah? I told you once, and that I imagine, but the second step to me is a little bit almost incredulous. I don't know that the Rambam chooses the Sefer, the Mechilta, over Talmud Bavli. We find, for example, by the Mitzvas Melech or whatever. There's the Chassidus Sanhedrin about it. The Gimel Mitzvas, the Stavi Yisrael Oretz, Mini Melech, Mechias HaMolech, and being Beis HaMikdash. The Ram quotes the Makor from this is a Medrash Halacha. I say Talmud Bavli. So I always tell you that I thought that since the Ram thought that Stam Medrash Halacha is a Pirush Mekubal, so he'll quote the Medrash Halacha. But are you prepared to say this? That the Rambam will quote a Sefer and not a Mishnah? Because and Stam Mishnah is not necessarily Kabbalah, but Stam Sefer is? That would be amazing. Just an observation. It's the exact Lush of the Mishnah Sanhedrin. Now, this Pisoim business, we have no clue of who or what this is, a Pisoim. He just quotes it, he doesn't say anything. Oh, it's a Pisoim of that Beshichya. So what? That's the Pirush Mekubal to tell you what the Ashara of Oiv is. If you learn, as we saw in all the sources, that there's a Maisa Kishuv involved in the Maisa Oiv, you could say that the Pisom is a magician. And Rashi says like that in Sanhedrin, Samachem and Aleph, Teremaskul Pisom, is Shema Machashev. It's the name of the magician. Hamadabe Mishichyoy, Malas Ames Meroetz Moshivloy, Mishichyoy, Tachas Roisov, Umadabe Mishechi. The Meir is like that. The Reed says that the Pisom is not a magician, but it's the Guf HaMeis. The Reed in Sanhedrin, Samachem and Aleph, Baal Oib ze Pisoim, Hamadaba Meshechio Pirish, Mailes HaMeis, Aidek Shofim, Mishi Beshichio Shel Makashev, in the armpit of the magician, Tachas Roisov, Umedaber Mishom, and that's what it speaks from. Vameis Korei Oiv. The mace, Ov, is the mace. Shuhu Kli Cheres Hamamala Noisayayin. Hidichsiv Kaoivis Chadoshim Yevaka. And Oiv is a Kli Cheres which you pour in wine. Voloshin Tilgum, Hu Pisoim. The Oiv is a Pisoim. Shuhu Kankan Shel Yayin. Umedames HaMeis L'Kli Cheres Rekom. The mace is an empty Kli Cheres. Because the Guf, Kachu, a Guf, below Neshama. So then, Oiv Ze Pisoim, it's the mace that's speaking from the armpit of the magician. But by itself, it's nothing. It's just a plain klicheres, which has no use unless there's some wine or something, unless if the use is that it's medab b'shichya through the kishu of the mechashin. Okay. Ve'oiva alav zeh b'meizid. Niskal. The posik in Chumash. Bi'ish oy isho ki yeh bohem oiv o yid'oini mos yumosu boeven yugamu eisam d'meim bom. That's very clear. Chayiv misa, chayiv skila. Then it says, v'mlo yisakel, if you don't carry out the oinish of skila, hinehu b'koles. And that's a pasuk. V'nefesh shetifne elo oivois v'el yid'oinim. Liznois achareihem. V'nosati esponai b'nefesh ahu v'chrati oisoi mikev amud. It's koles. V'im shoygeg hu hoya chayiv chatus kovua. V'tzaloyma mishi ase oisei hamaase v'yodoi. V'yisasek boy b'atzmoi. He himself does it. He does a ma'ase. And if he does a ma'ase, he's chayiv chatos. And that's the Rambam, Perik Aleph, Bishkogas Halacha Aleph, Kol Oiver, Bishkogal Achas Mitzvos Lo Yisaseh, Sheyesh Bo Ma'aseh, Shechayov Moleh HaKoires, Harei Zeh Chayiv Lahakiv Kol Mechatos. That's what he says, Sheyesh Bo Ma'aseh. Okay, now that was Maisa Oiv. We're not finished with Oiv because we're going to learn Emetz Hashem Yiduni. Now, Oiv Eda, start at least, and we're going to have to contrast Oiv and Yiduni. And we're going to have to understand, basically, should it have been 2 mitzvahs and minyan mitzvahs, only one? And the Rambam has 2, which we'll see in the second half of mitzvah tests. Let's start. These are some of the questions, some of the issues. Mitzvah chiyis, he shis hanu me'asois ma'isa hayid'oni. Mimaisa Yidoni, I don't know why, he's so Mimaisa Yidoni, like it was Maisa Oiv, according to Kappa. V'hugam came mini avodah zarah. Again, the Ram again stressed avodah zarah. Oh, so the Ram has like this. V'shikach oif, etzem oif. He takes a bone of an oif. We'll see other Rishonim. Mitzvah Hashem will talk about more next week. We know that it might be an oif of a chaya, sheshmo yodua, well known, whatever it is. Okay. V'yosim oisei b'fiv, v'yashin eshen. This is a very strange thing in Kapach. It basically says V'yaktir b'kteres. So it's the same scoop as we have in Oiv. V'yispalo tfilos, which you don't know what that means exactly. In Kapach v'yoyim advorim v'geslichu. Lachash lichushim. V'yasem ma'asim. So, Kitzi is you have Teres and you have Ma'asim. So one of the issues we're going to have to ask ourselves is how is this possible? Because the Gemara increases Sanhedrin both. Is a machugas of Yochanan Reish Lakish. And it's interesting, they're dealing with a very basic issue in the Mishnah in Sanhedrin. It says, "O v'yidaini," and the Mishnah increases. It says only oif, not yidaini. And the question is why? Comes Reish Lakish and says a very simple thing. He says that the Mishnah's is talking about Chiyuv Misa. The Mishnah increases, is talking about a Chiyuv called Chatos. And the separate din of Ma'aseh in called Chatos. And Oiv has a Ma'aseh, and Yidaini has no Ma'aseh. So, l'cheira, this whole, the way the Rambam is presenting the Maaseh Yidaini is very different than Reish Lakish. V'yashib Kteres, v'yasu Ma'asim, Yaseh Ma'asim, Achis Chabeloi, Inyan Doime Le'inyan Cholei Anoifel. He basically faints, so he goes into a trance. In Kapach, Matzav Adoime leMis'alef, the Matzav Mis'alef, someone who fainted, but Taveu Taldemo, and goes into a deep sleep. V'yadabe v'hoivim. And Kapach says, V'yadabe asidois. See, he also is asidois. So, we have to understand. So what the heck, what's the difference? There are two different ways. The same way, there were two different ways of Oiv, and it became the same lav. The difference between this and that, l'cheira, from Sheirish Zion, it should have been one lav. As the Ram says, Sheirish Zion is, there's a korban of the there's three different cases. There's Anius, there's Dalus, Dalus, and Ashius. Three different cases, but it's three different permutations of the same thing. So there are different ways of bringing the Avodah Zarah in to tell Asides. So it should have been one Isa. Oma Yidoini Maniach Etzem. Omu Yidoini Maniach Etzem Befiv Vumedabe Meilov Ubo Ashora Boy V'Zeh Aloshin Al Tifnu Eloi V'Zel Yidoini. And the final issue we have to take in this law is the Ram says, Al Tachshiv Shizeh Lav Shebekolois, because the Ram has Lav Shebekolois, Al Teichel Menu No, Ubosha Busham Amoyim. They're two different Isuim mentioned the same Lav, and the Ram counts it as one. And that's because it's the second issue of Lav Shebekolois. You have one time it says Lo, and you have two Isuim, it's one Isa. That's the Ram Shita. The Ramban disagrees, which you'll see the Ramban over here, both over here in the Asoga on this on Ashora test, and you'll also see it in Sherish tests. So the Ram comes up with a new cloud over here, which will also be a major topic next week. Kikva cholak oisam b'zichron ha'oinish. And it, v'oma oiv oyiduni, v'chiv b'chol echad mehem skila v'koles, amazing. So since you have two separate chiyuvei koles, or two separate chiyuvei misas, bezdin, That itself is enough to machalik the lav. And Mitzvah Shem will talk about this next time.